It has been a minute, 4 years of minutes, since I've reviewed a bike, and we've got one from Europe, the Santafixie Raval, so let's get it unboxed and built up. Santafixie comes all the way from Spain, and this bike came all the way from Spain. I know it's not made there at this price, that's about 550 euros, and we'll see if it's worth it. That's why you're watching this video. But this bike probably comes from China or Taiwan, if I were to wager, since that's where most bikes come from, and already I'm kind of saying like, oh, I mean, yeah, I know it's had a long journey, but like, come on, like, wrap the bars properly. Comes out in all one piece pretty well. It's a little scantily clad, if I were to say so myself, but it's in good shape. Can't really complain about that. But you know whose bikes don't come scantily clad? The sponsor of this video, Wabi Cycles. Wabi recently upped their track component game to help you build the buttery bike of your dreams. From H+ Sun wheels laced to your favorite hubs, from Phil Wood, DT Swiss, and my personal favorite, Suzu, to stiff, track-specific cranksets, from budget-friendly Wabi crankset to the baller Sugino 75s, Wabi's got your back for all the Fixie candy that your heart desires. Be sure to check out their dope component selection, linked in the description. Is that a hub axle in your pocket, or are you just excited to see me? Wow. You know it's a Fixie because it says it. That is genuine under the clear coat, my friends. Look. Don't get me wrong, it's a great looking bike, but how are you gonna have Fixie on the down tube in the brand and then have it come stock as a single speed? That is a super crunchy freewheel, oh my gosh. Even the hub says Saint Fixie, and you're gonna do stuff like this? You're gonna make it come stock on the freewheel side? Are you kidding me? How a bike is packed is pretty important for if you're buying online and you're ordering this thing, because if it's not packed well, then you could get a bike that's damaged and have to go through a bunch of steps to resolve the issue, if you can even get it resolved at all, and hopefully you can. Overall, I give the Santafixie like a B. It's totally fine. It came from presumably China, and then to Spain, and then from Spain to California, and it's in pretty good shape. The only major gripe I have is that the axle punched through this little cardboard here, because that side for some reason doesn't have one of these little axle protectors that looks like one of those tiny pizza tables. Hold up, wait a minute. I am now reducing my B grade to a C+. There's a scuff right there at the edge of the crank arm, and then there's also a bigger scuff right here. If you could just focus, there you go, camera, right there. It's not a huge deal for me because it's just cosmetic damage, and I'm pretty rough with my bikes anyway, but I have to review it as if I was a customer. I hate this freewheel, oh my gosh. I really need to get it to the fixed side ASAP. But if I was a customer, I'd be a little bit disappointed that my bike came a little scuffed up right out of the box when it's supposed to be brand new. Feels just like Christmas, guys. Let's see what they sent over. I hope it's socks. Wow. Oh yeah, pedals. Yeah, I kind of need those. Look, that's not extra. Get over there. And the cables for the brakes that I'm not going to install. Thanks, Santafixie. What else did you get me? An ass saver? Wow, now even my ass can be dry, except my wet ass. This is too much information, but these days, this season, my wet ass comes from the inside, not from the outside. This won't help me with that, but yeah, you know, that's kind of nice. Thank you, guys. Just to be clear, all this stuff doesn't actually come with the bike, because, you know, they sent me an invoice. Wow! Thanks for the invoice, Santafixie. You have to pay extra for this stuff. I'm getting special treatment, because I have a large number on YouTube. Brake levers! Wow! Again, not going to use them, but my local bike co-op will. Oh, is this socks? Large? I'm a small, guys. I know I ride a 58 centimeter bike, but I'm a small. You know, I hope you included the gift receipt so I could exchange this. Wow, this is actually kind of classy. I kind of like this. And it's really soft. Like, surprisingly soft. And lastly, a Santafixie water bottle. Wowee! Thanks, guys. I really appreciate the water bottle, but I'm on a very strict diet and I only drink tap water, which is vegan, organic, non-GMO, gluten-free. And these tap water bottles are available now. It's at glotter.com/merch. Won't be needing this brake since I am the baddest Fixie rider in all of the land. By the way, it is kind of nice that it comes with front and rear brakes instead of just one, because it does also come for single speed riders who would need both brakes. Boom. Oh, that's clean. Yeah, I'm a fixed gear rider. You can tell because it says so on my down tube. I don't mean to harp on this for too long, but I'm getting some serious vibes from another company that puts Fix in the name, but maybe it's just purely a coincidence. I'm taking off the freewheel. Do you guys like my Izumi Super Toughness chain whip? I'm still saving up for the other links, but I'll get there eventually. Yeah, it's gonna be my next upgrade. So I'm wondering if they actually greased the threads on the freewheel and on the cog and lock ring. That's something I've seen where companies like to cut corners for more affordable bikes because, hey, they're not going to find out, and if they do find out, we already sold the bike and it's not a problem. I will be very impressed if they did actually grease these threads. It's super important to, because if you don't, the cog or lock ring or the freewheel can seize up and be stuck on the hub forever. So I just spent the last 30 minutes trying to get this nut off so I could take the freewheel off, but I don't have the proper tools, and I tried using a bunch of different tools and none of them worked, and I just need to get the tools. I never put freewheels on bikes, so I've never run into this problem, and now because I tried to work without the proper tools, I scratched the hub on the good side, the fixed gear side. I'm just gonna check if there's grease on this side. Forget this, the freewheel's staying on. Again, super important. Okay, that was easy. They did not tighten this at all. It's there! It's like the lock ring wasn't greased itself, but it lived in a greasy environment and just through osmosis got a little bit of grease. And I assume that the cog is the same. By the way, please ignore these scratches. That was my fault because I don't have proper tools to take off this axle nut. Yeah, and then the cog is the same. There's like the smallest iota of grease on the threads, which, don't get me wrong, is better than nothing, but this is not nearly good enough and would definitely get seized on the hub and potentially ruin the wheel forever, so let's fix that. This is how much grease should be on the threads if you don't want your parts to seize and get stuck there forever. Like, it should be oozing grease on both the hub and on the threads of the parts. Much better. Wow, it's greased! They greased the stem bolts and put Loctite on it. Alright, I see you. There we go. With most entry-level bikes, you can expect that you have to upgrade some stuff out of the box. And it's important to ask, how much of a complete bike is this thing? And there's a slight problem, because it is a fixed gear. It does come with pedals, but these pedals don't come with any foot retention. And that's all said and good if you consider that it does come with front and rear brakes. That's fine, but it's like, if you're gonna be riding a fixed gear, you're gonna want foot retention and a front brake. Like, not a lot of people ride a rear brake on a fixed gear. So instead of using the pedals that came with the bike, I'm just gonna use my own pedals because I'm gonna ride brakeless. Maybe they just don't want to encourage people riding brakeless. Sorry, Pete, I'm seeing another bike for the next week. Total bike weight, 58 centimeters, upgraded pedals, no brakes, is 21 pounds flat, which is 9.51 kilos. Slightly heavier than I was expecting, even for an entry-level bike, and that just goes to show that if you get an aluminum bike, yes, aluminum bikes can be a lot lighter than steel bikes, but just because it's aluminum doesn't automatically make it a light bike. Don't get me wrong, 21 pounds is totally acceptable for a beginner bike. It's just that when you're at this price range, it's not necessarily going to be lighter than a 4130 chromoly steel bike. It does look really sick though. Santafixie first contacted me and asked if I want to review the Raval. My first thought was that this bike looks eerily similar to the State Black label, and I thought that it might even just be a rebranded State Black label, just, you know, buying from the same factory but putting your own decals on it. And even if it was that, I thought that might be a good thing, because I quite like the State Black label. But now that I have it in person, there are a few key differences between this and a State Black label. As far as the frame set goes, there are different dropouts, suggesting that the builder is probably different, and the fork is aluminum instead of carbon fiber like the State Black label has. But even then, just putting this bike together, I am kind of shocked at how good looking this €550 bike is. Like, the only thing I upgraded out of the box was the pedals, and if I say so myself, the pedals do look quite killer on this black and white finish. Even though the fork is aluminum, it's like really smooth welds. The welds, some of them are smooth, some of them are just okay, some of them are kind of chunky looking, but you know, that's to be expected at this price. The quality of the paint seems super solid. I like that the decals are nice and even and thin and under the clear coat to give it some real sense of quality to it. On paper, it seems like it's also not one of those bikes that look good but aren't good to actually ride. Like, it has some pretty solid components for €550. Like, it's got 31.8 bars for extra stiffness, it's got a tapered head tube, comes with the integrated headset. The frame set, I'm not sure what kind of bunning they use. It is kind of heavy for an aluminum bike at 21 pounds complete. It comes with a San Marco saddle, which is a nice touch. It's not a particularly good San Marco saddle. I've never heard of the San Marco Monza. It's still a branded saddle, and that's gotta be at least slightly more comfortable than just a generic saddle. You can choose between like risers, bullhorns, straight bars, and drops. Like, that's pretty good, because the handlebars really affect how you ride the bike and how comfortable you are. The wheels though, they look really fantastic, not gonna lie, especially with the gumwall tires. And the fact that these are Michelin tires instead of those bottom of the barrel Kenda tires that come on almost every bike in this price range, it helps to make it feel like you're getting a legitimately good bike for the price. The crankset is a Pro Wheel crankset. Pro Wheel is just like an entry-level manufacturer. I've ridden some of their cranks on some other entry-level beginner fixed gears, and they've been totally fine, even if they are 130 BCD. Like, I haven't had any major complaints with them, and I've quite liked them, honestly. Sealed bearing Novatec hubs. I don't know how Novatec does it, but these are just so impeccably smooth, especially for the price. Honestly, if I didn't look down, I couldn't tell the difference between a seal bearing Novatec hub and my fancy pants Suzu Pro Max hubs. They're just that good. I am really wondering if this is like the Kilo TT of Europe. Like, I am so impressed with this so far, and I can't wait to ride this thing. So be sure to get subscribed for the full review where I put this thing through its paces. I'll be riding it for the next week as my only bike. Speaking of great looking bikes that also ride super well, this portion of the video is sponsored by Wabi Cycles. From Wabi's own meticulously hand-built wheels to the track lacrosse ready velocity coils to the ever popular H+N archetypes laced to your favorite hubs from Phil Wood, Grand Comp, DT Swiss, and my personal favorite, the Suzu Pro Maxes. Top it off with the most reliable tires from Continental and Panaracer, throw in an EAI cog in the flavor of your choice, and your favorite chain from KMC and Azumi, and your bike will make your inner Fixie kid squeal with joy. So go ahead, check out Wabi Cycles and their component selection linked in the description. Fixie's famous shoutouts to Mario Perez, Brandon Black, David K, Gio Dezera, Julian Corona, Ryan Witt, Scott Palangi, and Zane Kolnik for helping to make these videos possible through their support on Patreon. And remember that life is short, but don't make it shorter, so be sure to ride your bike every day to be reasonably dangerous.